Welcome to this week's episode of The Cow Daily. To my right, possibly your left, is the venerable Alice Wolfe.
Normally to the far left.
Yeah, the very far left. The thinking man's bead, the venerable. I'm just saying all that filler shit because somebody was telling us, as I was saying before we went on, normally people didn't see the first bit. So if you're here, let me know in the comments because it's just been an experiment for us. We're sort of evolve this thing. I just wanted to see how that actually works. So if you're a boot, let me know in the comments. That would be appreciated. Also, if you could, please watch the stream on the Cow Daily YouTube channel because it helps us to monetize that channel. It's about watch hours and that kind of thing. So if you are watching on Facebook, please go to youtube.com/Cow Daily. Link in description of the podcast. So anyway, this week, Jubilee Cringe roundup. Boris de Pfeffel, Alexander von Dickhead, and Colston statue 2 years on. That's what we've got. So let me know you're here in the comments, please. Good people, that would be good. Alice, how you been keeping, mate? You good?
I've been all right. Hi. Yes. Yeah. Did you have a nice platty jubes anyway?
Oh, fuck you. Just fuck you. Seriously. Like, don't. Platty jubes, is it? We haven't got a minute in and we're doing the platty jubes. I just want to rip me fucking skin off when I hear that.
It gives me an eye twitch. It really does.
Seriously.
No.
Seriously.
Yeah. Seriously.
But we'll come more on your platty tubes. Carry on later on. Yours, now that you've said it. What I'm really interested in is your t-shirt. What is it? Tell me about the thing. It's a fox.
Right. Okay. So
all right, I've just seen it move up and seen what's there.
So basically, right, I got this at a couple of weeks ago. I don't think we talked about it last week. I went to the Ewan Brown Anarchist book fair.
R.I.P. the big man there.
And this is a t-shirt with some of Ewan's artwork on it, which I think can be seen I think it's near the Three Bulls Head in Gateshead.
Is that Ewan's artwork?
Yeah.
The fox and the small red man.
It's sorry, I'm leaning the wrong way. Right, so it's a hunter on a rocking horse with the fox.
Amazing.
In them. Yeah, it's mint. And I bought it from the Northeast Hunt Monitors. Because Ewan had given them permission to use his stuff to raise money. Really, really lovely bunch of people. They were. The entire day was just great. Honestly, it was just I was really pleased. I think everybody who went it was such a really lovely, positive atmosphere, and just got to talk to lots of people, ate lots of good food, came back with a shitload of anarchist propaganda and stickers, which always makes my little heart happy.
Some of my favourite propaganda.
Yeah.
In fact, my favourite propaganda.
Yeah, I didn't stay for the bands, unfortunately. I wish I could have done because it looked like they had some really good ones on. But I was absolutely done in by that point because I'm getting old.
Yeah, I mean, you had to save yourself for platty tubes the week after, didn't you?
Yeah.
I said it.
You know what a black waver I am. It was yeah.
Yeah, man. Totally. But wicked t-shirt, and even more pleased that it's some of Ewan's work. And it's been to tell you what it is, right? I had a look yesterday. It was I think it was the Tyneside Anarchist Archive, and they've got this massive folder. Have you seen it? Of all of Ewan's work and sticker work and pictures of him, but also all the artwork that the art community in Newcastle did, the street art community, for Ewan. Honestly, it brings a tear to your eye, everybody just sort of rising up and
really nice.
Marking his life like that. It's just beautiful, isn't it?
The Tyneside Anarchist Archive have got a Facebook page. If anybody isn't already following it, I suggest you do. They've got some great stuff, kind of spanning back from even before I moved into the area, which was a bloody long time ago now. But also kind of stuff that I kind of remember when I was first getting involved in all of this, and you see some flyer and go, oh bloody hell, I remember when we did that. it's just really well done. So give them a follow.
In it, because like round about the time he was active doing the stickers, I was out there like doing the Milk the Cow ones, the original ones, on lampposts and stuff. So quite often I'd be quite often somebody would be going around doing those stickers. Or quite often people who bought T-shirts, and I'd sent them there, and they just took it upon themselves to put it up. But what they told me was that was me. What they told us was that like Ewan quite often had been around just before us, like completely randomly, and there was these like fresh stickers, and I was like, oh man, there you were.
And the great, I don't know what both of them kind of Ewan stickers and the Milk Cow ones were made out of, but I still see them like regularly, and it looks like honestly, I saw Milk the Cow one about 3 days ago, and it doesn't look any worse for wear. It's like normally they're kind of peeling off once they've been there for like a couple of months or something. But it's the same with a lot of Ewan stickers. They just kind of tend to stick around.
Well, strangely enough, it was my friend who passed away, who it was his like printing business who produced them, and he was very helpful at the very, very start of the podcast many years ago.
Right.
Came in like, what do you need? Just like, I mean, I'm getting a bit emotional talking about that, but it's quite interesting, like the sort of link with people who've passed away and the stickers, and they kind of live on a bit. And there's one that's it's because it's been on direct sunlight for like years. It's right next to where I used to live. And I'd stuck it there. Like I'd went around one morning because him and his lass had been on the lash, and I thought it would be hilarious to just pepper that area with stickers. So I did.
Yeah. Well, the Milk the Cow one that I saw, it looked like. I should have taken a photograph of it actually, but I was rushing for the metro. It looked like somebody had stuck something over it at some point, but then that one's kind of dissolved and disintegrated over time. So it's like the Milk the Cow one's still there underneath. Yeah.
Strike us down, and will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. stick over our stickers. That's war. That it's like somebody scratching your name out and on a graffiti wall in Compton, innit? It's like, just you wait, lass. I'll catch up with you. It's one of them, innit? But like, I generally good times. Shall we crack on? Do you wanna are you ready to absolutely horse the piss out of the royal family? I
think people should be able to hear us by now. Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. So what we're doing now is like it's the Cringe Fest, that is the Jubilee, and it's some kind of like palate cleanser because we made it through those 4 days, and I still haven't seen any anti-Jubilee anything. And I remember like any other royal event previously, it was like people just didn't care. Whereas now, like people seem like cowed into silence or something. Like, I mean, there's comments online as we're about to find out, because there's been some belter ones from the community on the Facebook page. But I just don't know why people like are entertaining these idiots. No idea. However, we've got plenty of things to be looking at, and here's like the odd comment today, which people were telling about the things they found cringeworthy. So let's have a look. So Dave Bools says, I managed to ignore most of the weekend, but the term platitubes is the most cringe thing I've heard or read in a hot minute. Jamie George then comments, I just came to make sure this was mentioned. Right. You gave it the platitubes, carry on. Go. Tell us about platty bloody tubes.
I don't even know what to say about it, even though it's one of the most awful, or it's one of those phrases that, whenever you hear it, it'll just like make it absolutely twist. I don't know where it originated from. I don't think I want to know where it originated from. I'd say kind of the contexts I've heard it in over the weekend have been kind of a 50-50 mixture of, a bit tongue-in-cheek and completely embracing it at the same time. And it's just, if you're using it tongue-in-cheek, fair enough, but like, nah, it's just, it's kind of just become a symbol of everything that is wrong. Everything that is wrong.
Oh, dude, seriously, it's boiled my piss like you wouldn't even believe. But I found this really interesting. This is at Pandemonium Mum. That's a mouthful, isn't it? On Twitter. So people who use the term platty-jubes no doubt also count down and sleeps till they go on their hollybobs with their gorgeous family to chillax and have totes amazing balls time. Because it's like wine o'clock all the time, so can legit go for a cray cheeky sesh whenever's babes. That hurt my absolute soul to even try and read. So how do people like manage to talk in that way? Alice,
making memories, babes.
Emojis in full effect.
Yeah, I'm absolutely horrified. I understood every single word of that, and I wish I didn't.
Well, I do because I'm a keen sociologist on cunts. Sorry, I'm not. I don't really mean that, but maybe I do. I don't know. I like to watch the cunt sector of society just to see what they're all about. They were out in force at the weekend, though.
They really were with fucking bunting on, weren't they? No,
God, right. I'm going to keep going through this absolute carry on here. So this one, though, that I'm about to put up, I liked it, right? And here's why. Because it's totally self-aware. And it's somebody who is part of the Milk Cow community. It's Petter Howell. I cringed at myself, head to foot in union regalia, in the name of community spirit in brackets. The things you do when you work in the community, feel free to cringe at me. Petter, we're both long-time community workers. And I thought at the weekend, what would I do if I was like on an active sort of job in the community now? And it was all like, because I've ran courses on how to like deliver street parties and things and road closures and just all of the legalities of it, right? And I was thinking, right, what would I have done if I was offered like a certain amount of money to go around training people to do Jubilee street parties and that? Like, what would I do? So what I'm saying there, Petter, is somebody who's just went, fuck it, I've got to do this for work. So fair play to you, mate. Alice, what are you saying?
To be fair, I think if you put anything with a Union Jack on, your Irish Catholic blood would just melt it off your body. Like it wouldn't stay. It would just be like instantly rejected.
The thing is, though, my great granddad's prod Orangeman side would just completely like do his ding. He'd be spinning like a centrifuge in his grave. Like he probably, to be fair, like he probably already is. Like if there's such a thing as an afterlife, I wouldn't imagine he's an avid fan of the show. Like, but what are you gonna do? So yeah, I wouldn't be adorning myself for one of these, nay chance. So let's see what other cringe is about. This is brilliant, actually. Roger Brotherwood, who is a top lad from Liverpool. This is the Jubilee celebrations Liverpool. No one turned up. For audio listeners, there's a picture of like just crickets, and I think that is that I can't remember. Is it called Century Concert Square? I think I used to bloody live in Liverpool. I think it's Concert Square where people go on the lash, but I'm not sure because it's been so long since I've been in Liverpool. So apologies, Scousers, but also big up yourselves. Look at that, man. What do you think of this?
Oh, honestly, I do love the People's Republic of Liverpool. Like, I really do. Like, God bless you. Like,
well, it's a brilliant thing, isn't it? I mean, they've absolutely smashed it like this weekend, and I think people could do well to take the lead from the Scousers. Next, Dan CH says, people waving and cheering at a carriage with a hologram of the Queen in it. Perry C. Robin follows up, positively dystopian, and on the screen now, Sky News, breaking, Queen appears in hologram and Gold State coach as London street pageant gets underway. Do you remember last week when I was joking on about like when she was like driving a Land Rover?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a hologram, that. Talk to me. Tell me what you think of that.
Well, obviously that is because that's like from when she was 19. So they literally have Arnold Rimmered, the Queen, projected her
Arnold
into.
Rimmer? No way.
Like they really have just like turned her into a hologram of a 19-year-old version or however old she was when she was made queen, and just driven the hologram around in the gold carriage is ludicrous enough as it is. I mean, even the fact that thing exists, and they were driving it around is mad enough. But like, yeah, like I haven't seen any pictures of the people, of the onlookers, but I imagine I mean, I saw what happened when they switched Big Ben off for a little while they fixed it, and there was people stood around crying. I can't even imagine
What? Right, whoa, rewind. What were they crying for?
Because Big Ben wasn't going to be working for a little while it was having some maintenance done
Jeez.
for it. Honestly, that you can see like pictures and videos of this online. Like,
Right, I'm gonna have to like do a rewind once again. Like this is a jungle rave, right? Wheel and come again, selector. Say that it was again, because this is not going in. Not because I've got brain fog. I just can't compute what you've just said. What did you say?
Right. It was a good few years ago now. I can't remember the exact year, but obviously Big Ben needed quite a bit of maintenance done to it. In order to do that, they had to stop it working. They had to like stop the mechanism. So basically Big Ben wasn't going to tell the time anymore for a limited period. And they had this whole switching off thing. There was some MP there. Well, one of the MP. I can't remember.
People were crying.
MP was crying.
Mark Francois. He was like some, he's, what he's about. I mean, yeah. But,
I'm not going to say the word, but yeah.
He really likes like phallic items such as the Big Ben. Crying though. They were crying because they turned the fucking clock off.
There was people crying. This I'm sure this was shortly after, like, there'd been loads of footage about, what goes on in North Korea and everything like that. And everybody was taking the piss out of the parades and the kind of, the shows of hysteria when their leader died. And
yeah,
we don't honestly, and I've remembered this as I've been watching the Platy Jubes fiasco, thinking we do not, as a nation, have any right to take the piss out of North Korea anymore. Like, we really don't. We've just been absolutely shameless. Hideous. I went for a day out somewhere over the weekend.
And you went out the house at the weekend.
Yeah, I went out the house, believe it or not. I did, and I did more than once. It was amazing. No, we did a really nice walk in Northumberland.
Oh, that's cool then, yeah.
And
just out the way.
We were driving back and we drove through a little village in Northumberland called Holywell Village. Now, if anybody...
Lovely place,
yeah, it is a lovely place. And if anybody watching this is from Holywell Village and is not an ardent royalist or Jubilee fan, I'm so sorry, because it must have been hell to live there if you had that kind of mindset. It was literally from the minute when you went into the minute you left, like full of bunting.
Wow.
And there's only kind of like one kind of main road going through it. And it was like lined with, on both sides, of pictures of like just the head though, of the Queen. And it was like that scene in Return to Oz where she's going down the corridor full of disembodied heads. And that all starts screaming at you. It's just like basically a row of heads driving down, at the end of which was some kind of Queen scarecrow. Around. Honestly, it was like a cross between like Wicker Man and I don't know.
It's a pure cult, man. It's, do you know what it reminds us of? Do you know them cargo cults? You ever heard of what a cargo cult is?
No.
Well, it's an en masse version of a manifestation based in the same people. So what I'm saying is like, there was like, I can't remember which Pacific island it was, but it was one of them. And the worship, they have like a whole religion based around like Prince Philip. I think something might have happened where like something washed up, and that's why it's a cargo cult. And then there was like a picture of him, and many years later he did actually go there, and you can see footage of it, and it's just wild. Tell me what the difference is, right? People are worshipping in this country, in England, they're worshipping people like gods, whilst at the same time you can virtually guarantee the Venn diagram of people going, hey, you look, Corbyn worshippers is like a perfect circle.
Yeah. It's utterly bizarre, and I'm not really surprised. I don't know, when you saw that, obviously I saw how people have reacted when Prince Philip died, and obviously the Queen is more well liked, but it's just, think when you kind of say anything about it, even if it, well, even if it isn't something kind of you think is particularly extreme, I made a stupid meme about it, about flags, and kind of referencing flag shaggers, and put it on Facebook.
I saw
And
that. It was meant to.
it really, really like kind of upset like a few people. Like it was one of those ones that got more reactions from it. I think it was just it was a fake laundry advert which said how to get semen stains out of your Union flag in time for the Queen's death. And yeah, people didn't like it.
But like, this on your page.
No, this is on the Punk Food Bandita page. It was on.
I see. So like, no, that's what I'm saying. That's like yours, isn't it? So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like the clientele you get there is like generally anarchist. So was the royal anarchist thing going on that like, I mean, that's like anarcho-capitalism, it really, isn't it? It just shouldn't be in the same place.
Well, one of the comments was obviously one of the people who was upset about the said meme said "death to all Marxists." I was just like, seems a bit
the tolerant right.
Seems a bit. I don't agree with them ideologically, mate, but that seems a little extreme, and that really confused him. But obviously, it's quite an ardently pro-anarchist page. But it's obviously the buzzwords. Everybody's lumped in the same thing. Everybody's, anybody who just kind of feels that it's wrong for children to starve to death is classed as the far left in today's UK. So.
It's wild, isn't it? I mean, that is so bang on. Like, hey, you don't want millions of people to live in poverty, you communist. And it's like, well, I just want some like moderate change in the sort of fifth or whatever, sixth richest country in the world, whatever it is this week. The resources are there. It can all be done at the stroke of a pen, but capitalism, as we know, needs people to be poor. So there's that whole social climber, climbing on each other's head and point at the poor people and have Channel 5 broken benefits Britain type programs to like turn ridiculous. Like human beings into cartoons who it's kind of all right to hate, which seems to be one of the main functions of mainstream media in the UK for some whatever reason.
Comment sections are an absolute bin fire. You have some poor bastard just saying, I just wish my rent was a little bit lower so I can afford to eat. And that's like, all right then, Chairman Mao, why don't you move to China then?
Yeah, exactly. Like that Darren Grimes like boshed a tweet out. Like he was just like obviously clout chasing with loads of other right wing ghouls, Like he was just like a tweet machine over the weekend, and you just think, oh God, you're from where we're from. Oh, I can't stand it. It's just this extra layer of like, it's kind of like he's kind of like indicative of the shift in the northeast towards like the right and Tories in one little pipsqueak cunt, and it seems to embody that. And I cannot stand him. He's a little daft.
I see him pandering to the likes of Boris Johnson and Lawrence Fox or West, and it's like, pick me. It's like...
Yeah, man. It's like literally they had to go through every right wing ghoul in the country with GB News, and it was eventually right. Pull the Grimes trigger. We've got nobody else left. How we in? It's not going to last forever. Definitely not. And then after that, I'll never get a job. Nobody's going to employ us unless it's for the National Front. And even then, they're going to kick shit out of him when the penny drops that he's gay. It's like, where's he going to fit in the traditional right?
Well, that's it. But he definitely didn't have a wank when he was at school. Definitely not. No matter what.
No, but allegedly there was some crafty business. Anyway, like let's have a look at some more of this. Carry on. So Edmund Harris says this piece of gammon fodder is pretty bad, and for audio people, is there a real Queen there in the hologram? Because there's a hologram of like Prince Philip, the Queen Mother, and is the other one on the right the one who... Oh, no, he was the one with the stutter, like, who had the film, the King's Speech in it. What's his name? Is it George? George the 20 millionth or something. I don't even care, you know.
How can you even tell the difference between
yeah.
any of them? I mean, there was a picture of one that turned up, and it was just like everybody was like, "Who the fuck is that?" There was this guy there, and then it turns out it was her cousin. It was the Queen's cousin, who happens to look like her dead husband, who was also her cousin.
So, I mean, they're all one shag away from each other, sometimes half a shag, really. And it produces that kind of like all look the same. There's this bit from the nose to the mouth. Look at it, right? It's all long. It's like a bit longer. And obviously these are the like certain kind of adaptations that happen when you basically inbreed throughout like the royal houses of Europe.
I mean, they've been using Ancestry.com like it was fucking Tinder for like 600 years or something.
Yeah, man. Fucking right. Absolutely mental. But all of this hologram shit, I mean, people have obviously said like, oh, it just reminds us of like Return of the Jedi, you know what I mean?
I knew it reminded me of something and I couldn't think what it was.
Obi-Wan, hi.
That's exactly what it is.
In it, man. A few Ewoks popping up out of trees and that. How did that get there? The Ford report. Who put that there? Certainly not the Labour Party, I can tell you that.
No,
Carrying on.
Not.
Anyways, staying on the theme of the Labour Party, Sadiq Khan, like this is his tweet, and this is like out of a packed field, the one that made us want to rip my own dick off and beat myself to death with it through sheer cringe. At Sadiq Khan, Her Majesty, Paddington Bear, marmalade sandwiches, playing We Will Rock You with spoons. Being British is brilliant. Hashtag platinum party at the palace with the corgi emoji they've specially designed for it. Oh my God. The Labour Party, man. Have you seen the state of it? Have you seen the state of it?
Sorry, I've just been sick in my mouth a little bit.
Horrific, man. It's horrific, man. Like, obviously Starmer's been at it. I mean, like, they're just basically the party, or at least trying to be the party of flag shagging. But this, like most things, they've missed the boat because that's kind of like moving on, you know?
Yeah.
So
I did see the Queen with Paddington Bear, and it was you could just see her staring at it like she was wondering how much like Benadryl Charles had put in a Earl Grey to try and rip the crown off her head. She's, you know, I mean, I'm not her biggest fan, but she's 96. Like, you know, why are they making her do stuff like that?
Right. Ooh. I'm going to describe this. Right.
Yeah, this is. I knew about this, and it's absolutely horrible.
Like this for audio people. On the left, we've got eyes that can stare right through you, man. It like literally. I've seen this picture before, and I like. There's certain things that don't scare us, which you would normally, but things like that. Wow. It's not just like the eyes, but it's just the story I'm about to tell you. And on the right, there's somebody who basically looks like the young Queen. She just looks like young Queen Elizabeth. Yeah. So basically, the backstory is, and shouts to UK Fact Check Politics for putting this out, Queen Elizabeth II had two severely disabled first cousins, Nerissa and Catherine Lyon, who were publicly pronounced dead in 1940 and 1961, respectively. However, they were actually hidden in a care home for mentally disabled people without any visits or support from the royal family until their deaths in 1986 and 2014. Go on, what do you think of that?
People will argue that it was a really long time ago when one of them only died in 2014. That is, you know, it's the lack of love and the lack of dignity that you know we do see happen against severely disabled people. And you know, this is meant to be a family that we're celebrating, that kind of did that to people who, you know, who never quite fit, you know, who they kind of saw as being a little, you know, saw as being broken, instead of being given their care. It's disgusting. There's literally nothing more than can be said about that. And those pictures are desperately sad. It's the thought of them. Like, I know I've got no love for the royals. It's the bit about them having like no visits or anything like that. It's and you know, not even having been telling the world that they're dead.
It's disgusting, and it's
not
quite
right.
frankly evil.
It is.
And it's not even the high water mark of evil shit these mugs have done, but we haven't got like all day to go through it, or actually all millennia, because if we started talking now, I think the humanity will have evolved into like grey aliens with like, which are 3 foot tall with big eyes and no penises. That's how long it would take to put their list of absolute shocking evil out. But I mean, if that doesn't tell you what these people are all about, I don't know what it is. These are members of their family.
Yeah.
Family. Like, yeah, blood. And you're always talking about blood and how royal blood and all this. It's just better than everybody else's. Is it? Is that what you are? Well, clearly. Fucking cunts. I mean, absolutely disgusting, isn't it? It's just disgusting.
Of course it is.
Not only did you ignore them for decades, and not only did you put them in an asylum, you pretended that they were dead and they didn't die until decades later. Can you imagine how frightening that was, man?
Yeah.
And like, you know, obviously disorientating for somebody who's like, you know, experiencing challenges mentally, like in that way. Fucking, I'm virtually speechless here. Disgusting. And people are like waving their flags for this shit. Fuck off, man. Stick it. So anyway, yeah. Grrr. Rah.
Anyway, if you want us afterwards, we'll be in the Tower of London. But at least we get to see some ravens before we die.
Yes. Yes, we will. We'll have our wings clipped just like the ravens so we can never leave. Have you shagged your flag today, by the way? Boris. So anyway, this is right up there. This is a 74-year-old man. This is from the Telegraph. In a speech at the Platinum Jubilee Party, the Prince of Wales paid tribute to the Queen. And in the caption, it says, "Mummy, you laugh and cry with us. You've been there for us. Thank you." Mummy. A 74-year-old man. Mummy. Mummy. Have you ever, I'll ask you this, right? Have you ever called your mum Mummy?
Yeah, of course I have.
Right. Was it like after about the age of 10? Was it then tongue in cheek?
I don't think it was even after the age of 10.
Listen, man. Yeah. And Gateshead wouldn't even dream of saying that. We would get like, you know, like Mother's Day where you would go to the local card shop and you would get me mum a card. Every one of them's got mum, 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 mum. And I would take a black marker. And this is from when I was a kid. And turn it into ma'am every time. So there's just this like really fucked up thing going on. So yeah. So when was it like last? So you just still call her mummy now? Like
no, you know, I said I haven't called her that since not even tongue in cheek. Since
mummy, wow, she's a big girl now. Yeah, man. Yeah. So mummy, like somebody who's 74 calling her mummy's just madness. Like, what on earth is that all about? There's a bit of a whistle-stop tour through the cringe we've got for you here. Oh, look, the Brits have been at it again. It's like...
Yeah.
So anyway, let's take some comments, see what people are all about. See what's going on. Right, Shelley Kelly, what you saying? Start watching your podcast on my holiday. Hiding in France from the flag shagging, and I'm hooked now. Gang. Shelley Kelly, gang. That's what we love, mate. Just on that kind of thing, like we've like, I don't know. I'll bring this in actually. Right. I talked to you about this the other day. Without you, there's no way this would be happening, because when we started rehearsing like last year, I was ill as hell. I had brain fog and my confidence was just non-existent. Mm-hmm. So without you, we wouldn't have got to this. And my partner as well. I'd be just toast. I don't know where I'd be. So I wanted to like publicly state on the podcast. Cheers. Honestly, I love you deeply. Thank you so fucking much, because I feel so much better now. So my point is, with the comment that Shelley's just said, we're ready to actually start promoting this now. So it's lovely that you're getting involved, like just via osmosis, because we're just kind of putting them out there, but there's no promotion campaign being behind this whatsoever. So nice one. And obviously, please do call again.
Yeah, no,
But
definitely.
yeah, so it's
do
nice to
envy
see,
being
isn't
in
it?
France. I
You want me to
definitely
say that
envy-
again? Sorry, I was too busy chatting shit.
I said I definitely envy Shelley being in France at the minute, hiding from it all. Because I feel like I've been right in the midst of hell for all of this. But yeah.
Isn't it? Isn't it? So here we go. More Baldy Knots. Blazing a rock in spoons is pure British. Nice. I love that lad, mate. He's cool, isn't he?
He is.
Give
But
me a good one. Yeah, man.
yeah, I'm quite sure that's not what he means.
Yeah, innit? Steve Cross, love this. My views exactly. Gang, nice to see you here as well, because I don't think we've seen you here. Also, as well, just on this, there's some Facebookers popping up. You've probably not seen this. Please go over to the Cow Daily YouTube channel, because we're trying to monetize the channel. So if you watch this there, then that helps, because it's like watch hours and all that carry on. Much appreciated. Thank you, my friends. So what else is people saying? I'm going to scroll back a bit because they were all coming in. So Simon Kennedy's here. He's going to actually, Simon's going to be on the Newcastle United fans debate that we're going to get going. So I'll be, Simon, if you're still listening, I'm going to be in touch with you and David, the lad's name is, I believe, and we'll get it started. So what we got else? Who's this? Claire Green. Say that one more time. Arg. That if you could clarify what we actually said. Cool.
I think that's a problem with us reading the comments a bit later, isn't it? That sometimes like, wait, what's that one in reference to again? Need for platty tubes and
need for platty tubes. Says Shaw Scotty Scott. Plenty new people today. Lovely, great. Dave Slaz, R.I.P. Ewan. Yeah. Right. Slaz got in touch with us about his thumbnail, right? You know how I keep saying it looks like they're sacrificing an effigy of a baby at Bohemian Grove, right? It's not. And he has told us this before. What it is him and some other people, I think Ross Thompson and maybe Ian Hobson, do, the light painting in a cave.
Yeah,
it's him, I think, in St. Cuthbert's Cave in Northumberland, doing the whole light painting thing.
Oh, that's class.
So nice to be able to clarify. Right. Guy, remember the Don Van der Sar stickers on the lamppost in the West End back in the day? I'm not sure I do, but I know you're talking about. I wish I'd known before that.
That might have been before I moved to the city as well, so I think I'll get a pass out with that one.
Yeah, man. Paul Veronica, Jubes is slang for condoms. Is that in Northern Ireland? Or like the whole of Ireland? I've never heard it before. So what else we got? We'll take a few more. Robert Grady, at least the Jubilee crowd booed Boris Johnson. It didn't make the cut this week, right? But I might make a short video just myself tomorrow because this is ridiculous. The BBC, obviously on the live feed, we've all seen it, boo, boo, boo. But have you seen the edited version where the completely like audio mix out and it's a mix of boos and cheers? Total bullshit. They've also changed the voiceover of the thing as well.
Yeah, the voiceover is completely different and doesn't even mention the booing. Like
North Korea levels that, like, innit? Yeah, I mean, if you heard about that in North Korea, you'd be like, yeah, of course it is. That's the BBC who's doing that.
No,
real questions got to be answered by them about this, like, because this is like part of that drip towards fascism shit. So what else we got? Ellen Bowden. Hello, Ellen. I managed to avoid it all. The only person to say Platty Jubes in front of me was Alice. Is that your pal, is it?
Ellen's one of my oldest friends. Yeah. From back in the lake. Yeah. And I did say that to her when I'd probably had quite a lot of wine on our video channel.
Nice one. Robert Grady saying watching on FB, can comment, and YouTube as well to help out. Love that, mate. Thank you so much. Really, that is the gang, most of the gang. Sorry if we haven't got your comments, but keep them coming in and we'll try and like mix it up. There's a lot of new people this week, which is very pleasing and nice and cool and fresh and clean and vibey. I'm trying to sound like that them cunts on that tweet earlier, but I just can't do it. I just can't. It's not in us to be all like, yeah, totes, babes. Like, it just makes me want to rip my face off. Like, right. Like, shall we play this? Right. I just want to get your reaction to this. Normally I send you videos, don't I?
Yeah.
But this one, I just want to see what your face does. Check this.
We've currently got 170 patients in the department. That's 170, quite a few. There are 90 patients waiting to be seen at the moment. That's 90 of you are still waiting to be seen. Our current wait time for a doctor is 7.5 hours. I will estimate that by the time I go home in the morning at 8 o'clock, some of you will still be here waiting for a doctor, because the wait will get up to 12 or 13 hours. I will expect that. There are currently no beds in the trust. We're trying to make some space as we can, but if people are admitted, there is a chance they might stay in A&E for the night. So we will make you comfortable, we will do our best, we will look after you, but please don't expect that you'll be going straight to a ward, because that may not happen. If anyone is feeling particularly unwell whilst they're here, please let the girls at reception know, and they'll escalate to us. We'll make sure that officers get to whatever we can do. Anyone here with a relative, can I ask you to leave? Because obviously we're running out of space. We're still trying to social distance as much as we can, and this is not social distance at all. So any relatives that are here, if I can ask you to go, unless the person you're with has any kind of dementia, communication like that, or is a minor. Right.
Give you the state of the NHS after 12 years of the Tories and however many years of the whole PFI Blairite bullshit beforehand.
Yeah, no, that's it. And I need to kind of be really that nobody better dare watch that video and blame the staff there for what is happening. That is what is happening there is not their fault in any way, shape, or form. This is what has been done by people who have been voted in and who were voted in before them, and before them. And it's absolutely grotesque. I mean, 7.5 hours. I mean, I know kind of near where I am, they haven't been as long as that, but they've been so long that I know plenty of, because I work with like lots of, people who are vulnerable who won't stay for that. They've kind of questioned whether they should have gone in the first place, and then somebody's persuaded them, look, I really do think you need to be seen. So they go along, and then they hear that they've got like a 4-hour wait or something, or they've already been sat there, and what they do is they get up and leave. Yeah. And they just discharge themselves, and it's dangerous, and it will, because people will convince themselves, oh, it's nothing serious. It's that, when actually they probably really, really do need to be seen. Yeah, I got told off by one of my mates who's a nurse when I was really, really bad with a chest infection a few years back, because I should have gone to hospital. I couldn't breathe at one point. I was nearly dragged to hospital, but I was like, no, I'll be absolutely fine, because it was New Year's Eve, and that's what, and it was like, I know what A&E is like.
Do you want my New Year's Eve A&E story? And it's like the waiting time I had was very similar to the waiting times that she was talking about on there, but it was New Year's Eve. Well, for a fact, about New Year, I got absolutely battered because I was fighting. Yeah, I mean, you can't fight like multiple people, and I know people give that whole story. I was literally fighting multiple people, so can't remember much about it, but I do remember the fractured cheekbone, whole like a 50p piece in my cheek, which I've still got a scar, and various scars dotted around my head. But I don't regret it one little bit, because I had to fight that night, and I don't know if the person wants to say why, but like it had to be done. And I waited for ages, and it was just ridiculous in there. And imagine that every day, which is what's coming, because as we know, what the Tories are doing is manage decline of the NHS.
Of course
They've been defunding it as much as they can get away with. And I guarantee you this, if anybody who was out banging the fucking pots and pans on the doorstep and clapping along for the NHS has anything to say when it comes to strike time, anything at all, if you're not supporting them and you've done all that doorstep shit, fuck you. There's no time now for pussyfooting about. That kind of shit is just platitubes in a glass. It's the same energy of like everything's a fucking laugh in it. You know what I mean? Bang, 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 everybody. Let's all go out and make a cock of ourselves in the street. But when it actually comes down to fighting alongside the people that we claim to care about, nout, crick, and then aggression, and repeating whatever talking points, GB News, Daily Mail, The Express, all of that shit, they'll just repeat it back at you. I'm done. I'm super done. I'm tired of being what I was trying to be around the Brexit time, which was like, oh, well, what do you think? And what do you think? And all that. You can't reason with unreasonable people, and you can't be genuine with disingenuous people, and you certainly can't explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. So that day is done. I'm not doing it anymore. If I smell any of that shit, it's Exocet missile time. Not doing it. What about yourself?
I think we need to. I mean, God, we've been doing this for like nearly 3/4 of an hour now, and if you want me to talk about what I think about what is happening with the NHS, what we need is an entirely separate show for that. The too long didn't read version of it is that it's not that people say, oh, it's scare stories when you talk about the NHS, they're going to privatise it and everything. It's actually already happening. We're several stages in. There's plenty of really, really solid evidence for this, which we can show you on another show. And it needs people kicking off. Absolutely. When it comes to the strikes, when it comes to protecting the NHS, not selling it off. But that's what, when we talk about managed decline, that's why they're doing it, because people will be understandably upset. Like, you can't be told that you're going to wait 7.5 hours to be seen and not be upset by that. And, people are upset by them, not being able to get an appointment with their doctor and think that's because their doctor is refusing to see them face to face, which isn't quite the truth. And then what happens is then people welcome it. If the Tories turn around tomorrow and said, right, if you want to get treated, hand over your credit card, or you need health insurance, like, there would be absolute hell on, which is why they'll never do it like that.
Can I just interject? And I don't mean to interrupt, but today, and you've probably not seen it because you've been working, I think it was Sajid Javid was quoted as saying, we want to turn it from a Blockbuster video system into a Netflix system. And when pressed on what that actually meant, there was no detail and nothing was said. And I think it's the quiet part out loud with these fuckwits once again, simply because that's the plan.
Exactly the same. Wes Streeting did exactly the same about a month or so back.
Two cheeks of the same ass. They're two cheeks of the same ass. Anyway, we've been talking for bloody ages. Let's do a quick fire on the bell end that is Boris Johnson, shall we? Let's start it off with one of our favourite people in the whole world, who's effectively my favourite cartoon character this side of Minnie Mouse. It's Nadine Dorries.
Just now, that the Conservative Party donors have said themselves that they aren't going to support the party if the Prime Minister is removed. I think a number of MPs in marginal seats need to hear that and need to understand what they're doing. £80 million those donors have donated to the Conservative Party over recent times. It's those donors that have helped us to win the election, and they need to hear that message.
Breaking news. Nadine Dorries says the quiet part out loud. It's the donors to the Conservative Party who matter, the donors. Let's have a look and see who these people are. Right. And shouts out at JD Hiroshi on Twitter, JHD. First one. Hold on, I'll just get rid of that banner there. 2 seconds. It's gone from the screen. Anyway. Number one, fossil fuel and climate skeptics, Tories, have registered 1.3 million from oil companies, petrostates, airports, and businesses linked with Russian energy tycoons. They also just approved Shell's new oil field against all UNFCCC recommendations. Moving on. Number two, weapons manufacturers. The Armed Forces All-Party Parliamentary Group, which is part funded by weapons makers, visited Bosnia and met a representative from Lockheed Martin. An MP on the trip subsequently told Parliament that fears about security in the country were justified. Number three, what we've just been talking about, private healthcare. Conservative peer Lord John Nash has donated more than $237,000 since 2010 and is ex-chairman and shareholder of Care UK. One of 8 private healthcare providers paid $1.69 billion by NHS England for bed capacity. Number 5, anti-abortionists. The Heritage Foundation is just one of many international radical right anti-abortion organisations linked to Conservative Party MPs and party donors, as well as UK political figures. That's a parade of bastards right there. Thoughts, etc., Wolf?
Sorry, like, do you know how like every week I make a joke about
Yeah.
like how these people give me an eye twitch? Like I've like generally
I've
as
seen
soon
it,
as soon as Nadine Dorries came on, like I could like feel like me eye going like that. She's like, Nadine Dorries is basically like a friend that every lass had when she was younger, who you were terrified of going out with because you knew she'd start shit with somebody she thought was flirting with her boyfriend.
Yeah,
when she was
man,
pissed.
them people.
Like she's really like all about that energy. And the great thing about it wasn't just Nadine Dorries that has done this. The great thing about this confidence vote happening as quickly as it did is that none of them had any time to prepare for it. So they haven't had time to like rehearse things. And what she said there is a classic example, and saying the quiet part out loud. You know, again, we've talked about Tory doiners.
Tory doiners. You leave Sinn Féin out of this. It was proper like that vibe, wasn't it? Sinn Féin is a legitimate political party. Anyway, carry on.
And we're back in the room.
Tory donors, Alice.
Tory donors is that yeah, they're an absolute plethora of cunts, and they always have been. And this is the thing is like, you know, they're like, oh, we need to appease the donors. You know, the whole confidence vote is, you know, Boris was, you know, turned up at the 1922 committee saying, you know, don't commit. What was the phrase that he used? Don't commit pointless fratricide. Which I thought was a really interesting phrase. Obviously, fratricide meaning to like murder your brothers or your, you know, or your sisters.
Fraternal.
And it's just about them all kind of being part of that club. This all started because of people booing, and it wasn't the kind of, you know, that not even GB News could have claimed that the people booing out, you know, in that crowd was like Antifa or something, which is something that they would have, you know, they would have said. It was, you know, it was people there to kind of see the Queen. It was people who liked the royal family, who wanted to celebrate, and he was getting massively booed from that crowd. Now that will have rattled that, you know, that's really rattled them. But what he's done is try, you know, not try to appease people, and people really fucking hate me. Let's make life better for them. Maybe there's a reason. It's like, oh no, he went to the 1922 committee and said, oh, you know, don't hurt the old boys club, and you know, oh, if you keep me, I'll give you some tax cuts or something. Is what he said.
Yeah, listen, I've seen a few MPs today who've like said the quiet part out loud again. One of them being like the MP for like the Isle of Wight or something. And he was quoted in their local papers saying, oh, you know, I've been at them, as you know, for like a funding package for the Isle of Wight. Fortunately, now that I've voted for the PM in the vote of no confidence, they've informed me that they're going to look again at this. It just reminds us of like when Theresa May tried to like buy off the DUP with like billions for that confidence supply, and then look at them now; they've chat all over them because Tories be Torying. Yeah,
of course they do. You know, of course they do. And he's technically, I guess, won the vote of confidence. I say technically because he did, in that he got more votes of confidence than he didn't. But it's not good. It's not good. I think it was like 141 people, like kind of MPs, gave a vote of no confidence, which is quite a bit more than what Theresa May had when her vote of, you know, when her confidence vote came up. And although again she won, she ended up having to resign like 5.5 months later. I'm still waiting for Jacob Rees-Mogg to, you know, come out publicly and say, oh, you know, Boris did disgracefully, he should resign, like he did with Theresa May, you know, because he was saying how bad 117 votes was. Yeah, so 41% of Boris Johnson's
Just
own
on
MPs.
Theresa May, can we discuss the yassification of Theresa May, please?
We need to talk about this, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wanted to see the pictures more than anything. Basically, what they said is that Theresa May turned up for this vote in a fucking ball gown, because obviously it was arranged, you know, very, very quickly in a very short space of time, and she was going to some Jubilee thing. So yeah, she was basically like en route to that and swept in some ball gown, which I do really, really want to see. But at the same time, the whole of Twitter was like, you know, it was that yes, queen, girl bossing fucking horror show. No, Theresa May is a terrible, terrible person. It was
this
like,
is the architect of Windrush, of the hostile environment, and fuck Theresa May. Like, why is that like a thing that isn't being said? Like, don't try and like put her on like some kind of girl boss pedestal and just forget that what she's done to people of color and like basically anybody. Like anybody in England, UK, whatever you want to call it, has been touched by the evil hand of the wicked witch of Maidstone. No, so stop trying to like fucking crack on like she's some kind of Snow White figure just because you hate Boris Johnson more and your brain stopped working.
And just because you like her fucking taste in shoes, it does not make her a good person. It doesn't. I mean, you know, this vote thing, it went the way I thought it was going to. I did think he would scrape through, but with a horrible majority, where it was, you know, he was never going to come out of it looking good. But I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's the Tory party. I do not have a dog in this fight.
Oh yeah, I don't care about them or the Labour Party.
Yeah,
it's all done as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the Labour Party under Corbyn was only ever a vehicle to try and make moderate social change. I mean, like, you know what I mean? I don't give two shits about them now. They've just reverted back to being this kind of like sponge for any kind of like progressive movement, who doesn't suss them, you know? Like, we all know what they're about. Like, all this NHS shit we're talking about, Wes Streeton's literally salivating at the same thing. So, well, you know, how
yeah, of course he is. And certainly if Boris had lost and Jeremy Hunt ended up becoming Prime Minister, you know, he literally wrote a book on how to sell the NHS. So, you know, kind of asking, you know, it's like the only way that I can describe it is that asking me which Tory I want as the Prime Minister is like asking me what my favourite Police Academy film is. You know, they're both outdated, they're sexist. The whole concept is about an institution full of inept weirdos that shouldn't be doing the job in the first place. And the only thing funny about them is their hair. Like, fuck the problem.
And they haven't even got some fucker who does all them funny voices.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you know, unless you count Michael Fabricant. But
oh, man, I think his wig talks. Is it actually a syrup? Is that like, because the thing is, the world's so fucked up, like we live in the Matrix, it could easily just be like his hair. Like nothing's out of the question these days. So what would you say, syrup or nay?
I would definitely say yay. As somewhat of an expert myself.
Yeah, me too. I'll decide to go the other way and just bick the shit out of it for the rest of my life. Unless I decide to unless I come into some money, and I guarantee you this: if I've got money to spare, I'm gonna go and get like talkie hair. You know, when you fly to Turkey and get the hair, just the crack of me coming on here where they're just growing, and then I get like, you ever watched Vikings where they've got that like mad ass haircut where it comes down there and it comes up here and it's undercut? That's what I'm gonna do. Just for the crack, man. It'll be amazing. Can you imagine me rocking around with that shit, like flicking it and that?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Brilliant. Anyway, fuck Boris Johnson. I think that's basically all we've got to say. Fuck the Tory party and the ghouls who have control of Labour currently. Any questions? What I'd like to do before the very last thing we're going to do, which is the positive news for this week, is just take some comments to see what people are saying. Whoa, hold on. StreamYard's took a shit again. Right, we're back.
Yeah.
Right, hold tight.
The
Hey, hold on a
StreamYard
minute.
is a police academy movie.
Oh, what is wrong with StreamYard, man? Right, cool. I think. Right. Hold on. They don't have Funny Voice Guy, but they do have Michael Gove. I'm literally can't see the comments because StreamYards took a shit. So I am randomly pressing like the thing to see if it'll work. Hold on a minute. Right. Will this work? Will this work? Will this work? It won't. Don't know what's wrong with it. Sorry, dudes, if you put the comments in. I did notice somebody's before it took a shit. I think it was somebody called Nick that said, your tone is very antagonistic. It's making me angry. Welcome, Nick. Are you new here?
First time viewer. It's nice
First
to have
time
you
viewer,
here.
first time caller, will you be one day? But
Yeah.
good. Like, we live in a world of shit, Nick. Like, we need to be antagonistic. Like, this shit is medicine. Because like we're just not built to just sit around and not say anything, and we will always be antagonistic when it's required. We're not antagonistic for antagonism's sake. Go back and listen to some other podcasts and you will see. But on this particular thing, at this particular time, fuck everything. Literally fuck everything. This is our rebound therapy from 4 days of absolute hell. Well, to be honest, I'm saying that like for effect. I didn't give a fuck really. I was just getting on doing housework and into some work and some writing and that. So it was a really good thing for me. Also, my partner's been away, so I've like had a bit of quiet time just to get on. So that's been like top, you know what I mean? But anyway, we're gonna be antagonistic. So like love you and all that, mate. But if you didn't like it, off you fuck. It's as simple as that. Because you'll probably could come back next week and you'd be like, oh wow, it's just so kind and lovely and empathetic and all that. Because we'll be talking about stuff that demands that response. But this demands antagonism. We all should be antagonistic about this and advocating antagonism at the very barest of minimums. Have you seen the drip towards fascism that we're currently experiencing? Shouts to Mari Black. She's right. Anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely we need to be antagonistic, joyful, and absurd in all equal measures. And that's what we try to do on the show, I guess.
Totally, man. Right. I might be able to like pull some shit up here in the comments. Just one. Is there one? Oh, there's not. Honestly, StreamYard's gonna get. It does my head in. So the last few weeks it was great the first time. Anyway, positive news. We'll just jump straight out of that. So this one is just belter, and this is probably going to be antagonistic to certain people now. So, a Magic Money Tree on Twitter. Happy anniversary, comrades. It's basically a picture of the Colston statue in Bristol being launched back into Davy Jones's locker, where it belongs. And as we can see by the Google entry for the statue of Edward Colston, it's permanently closed. Any thoughts on this particular belter thing, Alice?
So has that been a year then, or is it
two?
No, I was going to say it can't be a year. I was got to say it has to be more than that. Okay, 2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Good. There's a new one that I don't know if it's anywhere near a river, but it could kind of do with going the same way. And we all know which one I'm talking about as well. Although that's been absolutely hammered since it's been up, the one of Thatcher. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who disagrees, tell me, but if you lived outside of Bristol, turn around and tell me you knew who he was before his statue got hoisted in the river.
Yeah.
Because fair enough, if you lived in Bristol and you did, because you would have seen it, stuff, there's several kind of buildings and places like named after him. But if you don't live in the city and you were outraged about that happening, tell me that you knew who he was. And
kind of do it.
No. So if you got asked about history, actually that was a really historic event, and now more people know who he was, and actually what an arsehole he was.
He was one of the worst. So thanks, protesters, for letting everybody know what the hell was going on there 2 years ago.
I certainly received an education, and I'm very glad for it. Yeah.
Personally, I am too, and I'm also really pleased to see how Direct Action got the goods there, and it's permanently rinsed and closed. I think they put it in a museum, or they're gonna put it in a museum, which is exactly where these things should be. Like, can you imagine knowing what that's all about and having to walk past that on your way to work if you're a person of colour in Bristol. Even if you're not, even if you know and you're not a person of colour, like that is antagonistic as fuck.
Yeah, and it's worth remembering as well that that didn't just happen. It wasn't just that, everybody started running riot and they grabbed a load of ropes and they hoisted it into the river. Everyone saying, no, they should have campaigned and they should have done this, they should have done that. They did. Yes. And they were subject to bureaucracy after bureaucracy and red tape, and nothing was being done. That had been going on.
Labour Council.
Yeah, no, just tear the fucker down. Good.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, for the purposes of obviously social media guidelines, I'd never advocate that people go out and do direct action, no matter how much it gets the goods. We would never do that, ever. We'd never advocate it. Not in a million years. Anyway, this has been the Cow Daily live stream. All the best. Whatever you do, run out and do anything that would make a difference at all. Especially after decades and decades of campaigning and getting nowhere and tied up in knots by absolute bastards. So anyway, shout to the people of Bristol all the time, every time. Also one of the birthplaces of one of my favourite genres of music, drum and bass. So shout to the Represent crew, Ronnie Size, DJ Crust. Go and listen to Coded Language with DJ Crust and Saul Williams after the show. Gang, gang. Anyway, any final thoughts there, Jerry Springer?
Be antagonistic, joyful, and absurd.
Joyful, absurd, wonderful. And thanks for tuning in. And it's been really pleasant to see the regular crew, but also new people too. Magic stuff, and it's like we've done a little tickle towards promo, and we're going to be doing that. So it's pleasing to see people coming and joining in. Also, really would be helpful if you would sign up to the Cow Daily mailing list, because we didn't mention it early part of the show, but we got banned from Twitter and Facebook on Friday. I appealed the ban on Twitter and got it revoked pretty much straight away. Whereas Facebook, they've done it differently this time. And people who are new here, we got banned for 2 weeks before the 2019 general election. Go back to previous episodes if you want to know the full detail of that. This particular ban, and we seem to get banned when there's some flag shagging event or there's an election, and this one was because I move around a lot. They've been trying to get us to do this thing, which I had done multiple times on Facebook, which was to basically put your location in and all of this. And because it said it's got potential high reach. So I've done that. Turned my GPS on. Here I am. Yes, here I am. This is what I'm doing. Fucking wah. And it would just keep going back to the start and keep going back to the start and keep going back to the start, and it wouldn't work. And guess what? Last night, a few minutes after the leadership vote, no confidence, it just suddenly came back on. No explanation from Facebook, no notification, no nothing. I just went on to check something. I was like, I liked somebody else's post, and it didn't do it under my own name. It did it under my account. I was like, what, is it back? So I went on and did the usual thing I do. Can you see this post? And there we go. It was back. And I mean, the timing, compared to the 2019 election as well, that was pretty fucking perfect, wasn't it?
Well, no, exactly. And I don't think anything happened with me at that election. But at the same time, Built the Cow, I think, got banned, got the recent ban for the Jubilee stuff. I didn't get banned, but my page the reach just dropped almost round about the same time within hours.
Madness, innit? But we're back anyway, and as we said in the post, we'll just keep going with 2 paper cups and a piece of string if we have to. So stay in touch. Go to the mailing list. Literally, it's a case of stick your email address in and press send, and it's just there as a nice backup, because obviously, we know we've been getting targeted for years and years. So we were targeted before Mark Zuckerberg had a fucking paper around, to be honest. So don't you worry about that. So anyway, fuck everybody. Been lovely to spend more time with you once again, mate. We're both mad busy, so this is always a nice check-in as well as friends. So thanks for everybody for tuning in this week as well. Hopefully we can keep doing this unless the beast gets word, and we'll get black bagged and sent to the bin of life. So, all filler, no killer. Bye.